Rob, the WNBA, speaking of proven guilty, is I don't know. They might be a tad bit upset at this new situation with the NBA. So here's the deal, Rob. We all know that the NBA is going to have a new TV deal. 11 years, $76 billion. That's almost $7 billion a year, right? And the NBA, Rob, which owns 60% of the WNBA and really has kept the WNBA afloat. Adam Silver, the commissioner for the NBA, said back in 2018 that the WNBA had lost about $10 million every year since it began. Okay? And that was in 1997. This year, the Washington Post reported, Rob, earlier this year, that the WNBA is expected to lose $50 million this season. So they're not making money. They're not breaking even. They're losing money. And the only way they still exist for all the great athletes and players in that league is because the NBA has carried them, literally. And so the NBA got to decide, Rob, how much of our TV revenue are we going to give to the WNBA? And they've decided, I guess over the 11 years, it will be $2.2 billion to the WNBA. So of their $76 billion, they're giving $2.2 billion to the WNBA. It comes out to like $200 million a year.
Okay.
And that's an increase, Rob, of $140 million. They were getting 60. So now they're tripling, more than tripling their amount. But Terry Jackson, who's the executive director of the WNBA Players Union, is not, she's a little bit perturbed. I guess she feels like they're being undervalued. Here's what she says. We have wondered for months how the NBA would value the WNBA and its media rights deal. With a reportedly $75 billion deal on the table, the league is in control of its own destiny. More precisely, the NBA controls the destiny of the WNBA. That's a strong statement. The NBA controls the destiny of the WNBA, she says. We look forward to learning how the NBA arrived at a $200 million, per year valuation if initial reports are accurate or even close. Neither the NBA nor the WNBA can deny that in the last few years, we have seen unprecedented growth across all metrics. The players continue to demonstrate their commitment to building the brand and that the fans keep showing up. There's no excuse to undervalue the WNBA. Again, your thoughts.
All right. So give the NBA first back the last 29 years, Chris, of losses that it recouped. You want to do that first? And then you go out
quickly, Rob. According to the numbers, $10 million a year since 1997. It's roughly somewhere between $200 and $260 million in losses.
Okay, so there you go in losses that the NBA. Without the NBA, Chris, there would be no league, right? Can we agree with that?
Yes.
They kept it alive.
They could try, but it wouldn't. Yeah, the NBA kept it alive. Absolutely
kept it alive, and I know for a fact that when they sign deals, Chris, with people, they would say, and you got to contribute to the WNBA. Like if you want to make a deal with us, and you have to take some, you know what I mean? Like portion has to go to the WNBA.
Yep.
If you want to make a deal with us, you can't just say, I just want the guys and not partake. And this was David Stern's baby, one of his legacy things, so he tried hard to keep it afloat, Chris, because he started it. Remember, there were other women's leagues before this.
Yeah.
The WBL and some other women's leagues before the WNBA. But I don't know what leg they have to stand on. Caitlin Clark's games, Chris, if you could show me, because I would say to them, hey, if you want to go out on your own and go out and work your own deals and do all that, have at it. And if you could do better. No, I know, right, Chris. I'd say have at it. Go ahead. Without the NBA, you're not attached. You want to be a separate league? We'll separate. You go do your thing. You could do better deals on corporate sponsorships without the NBA there, if you could do all that on your own, I welcome you to detach yourself from the NBA and go do your own thing. Because they'll come running back in a New York minute, Chris.
I'm with you. I'm sorry. This is not, and let's throw out this disclaimer, Rob, because some people just don't get it. This has nothing to do with gender. It has nothing to do with
business.
Women versus men. The athletes are paid. Rob, you and I have covered many lockouts and all of that. They are paid a certain percentage. In the NBA, it's roughly, in most leagues, it's roughly half, right? Half of the money that the sports generates is what the athletes are paid. So the reason NBA salaries are skyrocketing is because the sports popularity in terms of jersey sales and parking and attendance and TV deals, most importantly, and all of that is skyrocketing. They're not just giving these players money to be
they
nice.
like them. Right.
They're giving them half of the money that the league generates. And the WNBA, we just said it. They're generating no money. They're generating no money. And so the NBA, Rob, I'm looking at, we talked about the NBA's revenue. Let's put it at $7 billion a year with the new TV deal. They are giving the WNBA $200 million, or of the $76 billion, they're giving them $2.2 billion.
Right.
That's about roughly 3% of the NBA's revenue. Rob, when you're giving 3% of your revenue to a league that's making nothing,
right,
that's not contributing to your bottom line,
that has never been in the black. Never been in the black.
You're doing them a favor. And I mean, you look, and I hate to put it this way, but I don't take this literally. Maybe I should. Beggars can't be choosers.
Go ahead. What'd you say?
Beggars can't be choosers. I mean, they're funding you. You said it, Rob. If you want to go out on your own, have at it. But we're funding you, and we're giving you more than you're like than economically you deserve. It has nothing to do. And here's what I don't like. I don't like when she puts in here, and it's just one little phrase. The players continue to demonstrate their commitment to building the brand. What athletes don't? Right. Like, I don't want to hear about how hard the WNBA players work. We know they work hard. They work as hard as the NBA players. But guess what? So do track and field athletes. Right. So do bicyclists and weightlifters and wrestlers.
And they don't get paid big money because they can't generate the revenue. Like, let's just be real. It's the same thing, Chris. There's college baseball. They have the World Series.
There you go.
They sell out for that. Every other game, there's family and friends in the stands. That's what it is. You see the College World Series, Chris, is sold out, right? Okay. Yep. But the rest of the year, nobody's going, nobody's watching. Yep. So you cannot expect to make what college football or college basketball, even though there's a college baseball team. No,
even though they work just as hard.
Yes.
They're just as committed to their craft. Many of them got just as much of a chance or want to get to the pros as the football players. You got to understand it, though. The college games aren't on national television every Saturday afternoon. Nope. Well, I mean, is that fair? Like, that's the thing. Don't tell me, well, just we play the same sport. We should be on just as much as the men. Well, if you were as popular, you would be.
It's so easy. We talk about it all the time. What do I do, Chris? I criticize the women in this country. I do.
Yep.
Because it's on you. Watch the games. Take your boyfriend on a date or your husband, Chris, to a WNBA game. Fill up the stands. There's plenty of women to fill up the stands.
Right.
Go do it. The men can't ignore you if you have a packed house at the Barclays, Chris, where the Liberty are playing. If they pack the house every night, they have no choice.
They would start getting, as there's no doubt about it. And Rob, remember too, the WNBA season is only 40 games. It's half as long as the NBA season. So you have to take that into account too. I mean, that's a small thing, but it's a legitimate thing.
No, that's legit.
Your
The
season is not as
smaller.
long. And so I just, again, it's nothing to do with, inequality or anything like that. It is what the sport generates. Rob, we talked about
and demand, Chris. Supply and demand.
We talked about it, Rob. We work just as hard as Colin Cowherd.
Yep. We're on the same
Rob,
network.
Right. He's making more than us. His show generates way more. Steve, we work as hard as Stephen A.
Stephen A. makes
He's about
way
to get
more.
paid like he's a freaking quarterback or something.
Exactly.
I mean, like he's Justin Jefferson or something. But hey, we work just as hard. We put just as much into our craft. We get it. This is how it works.
Right. We don't all get paid the same amount because we're all doing the same job. It doesn't work like that. We're in the same industry. And if our ratings somehow, Chris, superseded or we had something that was better than Colin, then the bosses would have to say, well, maybe we need to flip this. Maybe it's the odd couple and we need to move them in that slot and look at they're killing it. Like that's how it works. There's no other way.
But you can't just go up in there talking about, well, he making this. Why can't I mean, you have to understand how things work. So this will be interesting. Again, Rob, we talked about it with Brandon Ayuk yesterday. Leverage. If you don't have any leverage, then you're kind of just blowing smoke.
Yeah, I don't know what leverage they have because, like I said, other than Caitlin Clark and maybe Angel Reese, Chris, their games, the attendance hasn't spiked the rest of the places. I mean, like I said it before the season started. She would be like the Harlem Globetrotters. Every time she shows up, they got the crowds and all that. But there's still a lot of 5,000, 4,000, 6,000 nights, Chris, where the other games are being played.
Rob, her games, she's one of 12 teams, right? She's on one of 12. So that one of 12 is what, like 8%?
Mm-hmm.
The Fever, which is her team, accounts for 33.5% of the WNBA's total attendance. 33. I mean, that's what, 4 times the amount that they should. Their average attendance is 15,142. The league average is 7. Everybody else's average 7,645. So, I mean, business. Let's not just get emotional about stuff.